The stars stretched endlessly across the black sky, distant fires glittering in silence. Daniel Cross sat in the cockpit of his small repair shuttle, listening to the hum of broken systems. He had been traveling with a cargo convoy when his ship's engine gave out, leaving him drifting helplessly through uncharted space. "Great," he muttered, slapping the console that no longer responded. "Lost, low on power, and no backup. Perfect." Hours turned into a full day. Daniel rationed his air, thinking of Earth and the noisy cities he once hated but now missed. Then, without warning, a shadow passed over his vessel. His heart jumped. A massive shape blocked the stars, an alien battleship, shining silver and gold like something from a dream. Its size dwarfed his tiny shuttle. Before he could react, beams of light scanned his ship. Then a mechanical voice spoke in a language he didn't understand. Moments later, a translated version filled his cabin. "Unidentified craft. Surrender control. You are in royal territory." Daniel's hands shook. He had no weapons, no shields, nothing. Sure. Surrendering sounds great," he said, raising his hands as if the aliens could see him. A tractor beam locked onto his shuttle, pulling him into the gigantic ship's hangar. The inside was blindingly bright, filled with tall, armored figures, with shimmering skin and glowing eyes. Their armor gleamed with silver lines and their movements were sharp, practiced, like warriors who had trained their entire lives. Daniel's throat went dry. "Yep, I'm dead. Any second now." The aliens surrounded him, aiming strange crystal weapons. Their leader barked an order and Daniel was shoved forward, guided through long metallic corridors. The walls glowed with runes and flowing light, as if the ship itself was alive. Finally, the guards stopped at a towering door, decorated with a crest, an emblem of a rising sun surrounded by stars. The doors opened. Inside was a grand chamber filled with nobles in flowing robes. At the far end sat a throne of silver and crystal, and upon it was a young woman. She was unlike the others, slender, graceful, with golden hair that shimmered like starlight and eyes that glowed soft violet. A crown rested lightly upon her brow. Daniel blinked. She looks human. Almost. The guards pushed him down on one knee. The chamber grew silent. The young woman leaned forward, studying him with curiosity rather than hostility. This, Daniel realized, must be the princess. The court whispered among themselves. No human had ever stood before them. Most aliens in the galaxy ignored Earth, calling it a minor world unworthy of notice. Yet here he was, facing royalty. The princess raised her hand and the whispers stopped. Her voice was calm, melodic, but carried authority. "Who are you, stranger?" Daniel swallowed. His brain screamed at him to be careful, to choose words wisely. He was standing in front of alien royalty, surrounded by guards who could kill him with one wrong move. But fear made him nervous, and when Daniel was nervous, he joked. He forced a shaky grin. "Hey, babe." The entire chamber froze. Guards stiffened. Nobles gasped loudly. Daniel felt his stomach drop. Oh no. I just insulted an alien. Princess, I'm so dead. But then something happened he did not expect. The princess's eyes widened. Her cheeks flushed with a faint glow, the alien equivalent of a blush. She lowered her gaze for a moment, then whispered softly, "Yes, baby." The chamber erupted in chaos. Nobles shouted in disbelief, some even falling to their knees. Guards exchanged nervous glances but dared not move. The entire court was stunned beyond reason. Daniel, meanwhile, was utterly lost. "Wait, what? Did she just—" The princess composed herself quickly, though the faint blush remained. She raised her hand again, silencing the uproar. "Bring him to the inner halls," she commanded. "He will not be harmed." The guards hesitated but obeyed, pulling Daniel to his feet. He was marched out of the throne room, but now the whispers followed him like a storm. Words in their language echoed down the halls, whispers of scandal, prophecy, and forbidden things. Daniel stumbled along, confused. What did I say? What's going on? No one answered him. He was taken to a smaller chamber, this one quiet and warm. The princess entered moments later, dismissing the guards with a gesture. Alone with him, she studied his face with a strange intensity. You are human, she said slowly. From the world your people call Earth. Daniel nodded awkwardly. Yeah, just a mechanic, nothing special. My ship broke down and, I didn't mean to offend you back there. Her lips curved into a small smile. Offend? No. You have no idea what you said, do you? Daniel scratched the back of his neck. Well, I said, hey babe, it's just a joke, you know? A casual thing back home. Her eyes glimmered. In my language, in my people's ways, those words carry the weight of a sacred bond. They are words of choice, of union. Daniel's heart skipped a beat. Wait, are you saying? The princess looked down, her blush returning. When I answered, I accepted. The air seemed to freeze around him. Daniel's brain screamed with panic. I accidentally proposed to an alien princess. She looked up again, and for the first time her royal composure broke, revealing something softer. Your boldness was unexpected. None among my people would dare speak so freely. That is why I answered. Daniel's legs nearly gave out. This is insane. The princess smiled faintly. Perhaps, but fate often begins with foolish words. Outside, the royal court buzzed with turmoil. Inside, a simple human joke had just shaken an empire. The next morning, Daniel woke up in a small guest chamber deep inside the alien royal palace. The walls were smooth silver stone, glowing softly with light that came from nowhere. A wide window, open to the skies of a world unlike anything he had ever seen. Two suns rising together, their golden light spilling across vast crystal towers that stretched higher than Earth's tallest skyscrapers. Flying ships moved silently between them, glowing like birds of fire. Daniel rubbed his eyes. I'm not dreaming, am I? But the door opened, and an alien guard stepped inside. His armor gleamed with white and silver, his tall frame casting a shadow across the room. The princess requests your presence, he said in accented English. Daniel blinked. The princess? His mind raced back to the throne room, to the words he had spoken, and to her whispered reply. Heat rushed to his face. Oh no, I'm in trouble again. The guard didn't answer, only gestured for him to follow. The palace corridors were wide and endless, lined with glowing pillars and strange plants that shimmered with soft blue light. Everywhere they walked, Daniel felt the eyes of nobles, attendants, and soldiers. They whispered behind their hands, their expressions filled with shock, anger, and disbelief. That is the human, the one who spoke the sacred words. How dare he, an outsider? Daniel's stomach twisted. He had no idea what he had gotten himself into. But he knew one thing for certain. He was now the center of attention, in a place where one wrong move could mean death. The guard led him into a large hall filled with alien nobles. They wore long robes embroidered with golden threads, their faces proud and cold. They looked at him as if he were dirt. At the far end stood the princess, dressed in flowing silver silk. Her golden hair caught the twin sun's light, making her seem like she glowed. She smiled faintly when she saw him. Daniel of Earth, she said, her voice soft but strong. Come. The nobles gasped at her tone. Some even stepped back as if the sound of her voice speaking his name was a crime. Daniel walked forward nervously. He tried not to trip on the polished floor. Hi again, he muttered. The princess gave a small nod. You will remain here, in the palace, as my guest. The hall erupted in outrage. Nobles shouted, their voices echoing through the chamber. This is madness. He is not one of us. He is unworthy to even breathe the same air as royalty. Daniel flinched at the noise, but the princess raised her hand and silenced them instantly. Her violet eyes burned with authority. My decision is final, she said. He is under my protection. Any who move against him move against me. The room fell quiet, but the anger did not disappear. Daniel could feel it pressing in around him like a storm. Later, in a smaller chamber, Daniel finally spoke his mind. Princess, I don't understand. Why are they all so angry? Back home, calling someone babe is just a silly thing. Joke. I didn't mean anything serious. The princess looked at him, her expression softening. In your world, perhaps. But in mine, those words are sacred. They are words spoken only between two souls who choose each other. Once said aloud, they cannot be taken back. And when I answered, I accepted. Daniel nearly fell out of his chair. Wait, so you're saying everyone thinks we're engaged? She tilted her head slightly. Bonded. Yes. In the eyes of tradition, it is already so. Daniel groaned, burying his face in his hands. Oh no. I'm going to start an intergalactic war with a bad joke. But the princess only laughed softly, a sound like music. You are strange, Daniel of Earth. None among my people would dare to speak to me so freely. That is why I answered you. You are bold, honest, different. Her words made his heart pound. For the first time, he realized she was not mocking him. She truly meant it. Outside the chamber, the whispers spread faster than fire. Nobles argued in shadowed corners. Some claimed the human was a liar who had tricked their princess. Others said it was fate, that the old prophecies spoke of a stranger from the stars who would change the empire forever. The emperor had not yet spoken, but everyone knew he would not be pleased. That night, east window of his chamber, the palace was alive with whispers and tension. Daniel could feel it every time he walked through the marble corridors. Every noble and soldier stared at him, some with disbelief, some with anger. He had never imagined that a simple joke could create such chaos. One morning he was called to the throne room. The air felt heavy, as if the very walls were holding their breath. The princess was already there, standing tall in her silver robe, her golden hair glowing in the sunlight that poured through the crystal windows. But she didn't smile this time. She looked serious, concerned. The emperor wishes to speak. With you, she said softly, her violet eyes meeting his. Daniel swallowed hard. Speak with me? Do I have to bring gifts or like snacks? She raised an eyebrow. No. You only need to stand and answer his questions truthfully. The throne room was vast, larger than any cathedral Daniel had seen. At the far end, sitting upon a massive silver throne, was the emperor. He was imposing with sharp golden eyes and a voice that could command the winds. Daniel felt a shiver run down his spine. Daniel Cross of Earth, the emperor began, his tone icy. You have spoken words that have shaken my court. Do you understand the gravity of your actions? Daniel's mind raced. Gravity? What do you mean, gravity? I just said, hey, babe? Yes, your majesty, Daniel said cautiously. I didn't mean anything serious. I was joking, really. The emperor's gaze pierced him. Do you realize that those words in our language are sacred? They bind not only two individuals, but also the trust of the court, the loyalty of the nobles, and the honor of my daughter? Daniel nodded quickly. Yes, sir, I understand now. Really, I do. I'm sorry, I didn't know. The emperor leaned forward, his hands resting on the arms of the throne. You have entered dangerous territory. One mistake could cost you your life. Yet my daughter has defended you, defying centuries of tradition. Do you have any understanding of what that means? Daniel swallowed hard. I think so. I mean, I didn't expect her to, say yes, I guess. The emperor's gaze did not soften. This is not a matter of guessing, human. This is politics, tradition, and the stability of my empire. You are a stranger. Your presence here is unexpected. Daniel felt his stomach twist. Unexpected? That's putting it lightly. Before he could respond, the doors to the throne room burst open. A messenger ran in, panting heavily. Your Majesty, enemy fleets have been spotted approaching the northern sector. They move fast, and they are armed. For war! Gasps echoed through the room. Daniel's heart raced. War? Already? The emperor's expression hardened. Prepare the fleet. The northern sector must be defended at all costs. He looked directly at Daniel. And you, human, you will remain under my daughter's protection. But understand this. One wrong step, one careless word, and you will pay dearly. The princess stepped closer to Daniel, her hand brushing his arm lightly. Do not be afraid, she whispered. You are safe with me for now. Daniel nodded, though his knees felt weak. Safe? With an entire fleet coming at us? This is insane. The next hours were a whirlwind. Daniel was led to the shipyards where hundreds of alien vessels were being prepared for battle. He had little experience with alien technology, but his Earth-born engineering knowledge gave him ideas. He suggested small but clever modifications, reinforcing shields, improving navigation algorithms, and rerouting power for faster energy bursts. The alien engineers were skeptical at first. This human does not understand our technology, one muttered, but the princess intervened. He will assist us. His ideas may be different, but I trust him. Reluctantly, the engineers allowed Daniel to work. To everyone's surprise, his Earth-style solutions improved the ship's efficiency. Power flowed more smoothly, shields held longer, and targeting systems responded faster. Daniel leaned back on a console, exhausted but grinning. Well, looks like I'm not completely useless. The princess walked beside him, her eyes soft. You are far from useless, Daniel. You are remarkable. Daniel nearly choked on his own shock. Remarkable? Thanks. I think. She smiled faintly. You have courage, and you think in ways my people do not. That is why I chose to answer you. As night fell, the enemy fleet appeared in the distance, a dark mass of ships moving like a shadow across the stars. The palace trembled slightly under the hum of engines and energy fields activating across the city. Alarm sirens blared. Daniel stood beside the princess on a balcony overlooking the fleet. His heart pounded. Princess, that's a lot of ships. Are we really going to fight them? She nodded, her expression steady. Yes, and you will play a role. You must help our forces think differently. The enemy expects us to follow tradition. You, human, are unpredictable. Daniel swallowed hard. Me? Unpredictable? I can barely predict if I'll spill my coffee in the morning. But deep down, he felt a spark of determination. He had made a mistake with a joke, yes, but now he could prove himself. Maybe this was his chance to be more than just a stranded engineer. The battle began at dawn. Ships fired energy beams across the stars, shields flared, and explosions lit up the sky. Daniel coordinated with the fleet, issuing commands and tweaks that alien generals initially doubted. But slowly, the tide turned. The enemy fleet was caught off guard by his unconventional strategies, and ships that would have been destroyed survived. From her command post, the princess watched him. Her cheeks flushed faintly as she whispered, Yes, my chosen is brave. Daniel caught her gaze and blushed himself. Brave? I'm just alive right now. By the end of the day, the enemy was forced to retreat. The palace and city were safe, for now. But Daniel knew this was only the beginning. He had survived the first test, but the whispers in the palace had grown louder. Some nobles admired him, others despised him. And the emperor, he would not forget. As Daniel sat in the quiet of the shipyard, the princess beside him, he realized something. A simple joke had brought him here, a joke had changed everything, and now he could either rise to the challenge or be destroyed by it. The stars above the alien world twinkled silently, as if waiting for the next chapter to unfold. The morning after the battle, the palace was quiet, but tense. The enemy fleet had retreated, but the court was still in turmoil. Whispers of Daniel's bond with the princess filled every corridor. Some nobles admired him secretly for his bravery, but most were still angry. Daniel walked through the palace gardens with the princess. The gardens were filled with plants he had never seen, flowers that glowed faintly in shades of blue and purple, trees with crystal leaves that chimed in the wind. It should have been peaceful, but Daniel could feel the weight of the palace's attention on him. Princess, he said nervously. I still don't really understand. What did you mean when you whispered yes? Back home I said hey babe as a joke. That's it. Nothing serious. The princess stopped beside a fountain, the water sparkling like liquid diamonds. She looked at him seriously. In our culture, words carry power. Babe is not a casual word. It represents choice, trust, and a bond between two people. When I answered you, I accepted. That is why the court reacts as it does. Daniel's jaw dropped. So, I didn't just make a joke, I did. Something serious? I'm basically engaged? She nodded, her expression softening. Bonded. You are now tied to me in the eyes of our people. It is more than words. It carries expectations, honor, and responsibility. Daniel ran a hand through his hair. Oh no. I knew this would get complicated, but I didn't think it would be this intense. The princess smiled faintly. You are bold, Daniel. That is why I answered. Most would not dare speak so freely. Most humans would never approach a princess like this. You did not know the rules, yet you acted with courage. Daniel sighed. I guess courage comes in strange ways, mostly by accident in my case. Meanwhile, the palace court was in full uproar. Nobles argued in secret chambers. Some spoke of prophecy, saying a stranger from the stars had appeared to change the empire. Others whispered that Daniel was a threat to the princess and the empire's honor. The emperor had yet to declare his judgment, and that uncertainty made the nobles restless. The princess understood the danger. She walked through the palace halls holding Daniel's arm gently. You must learn our ways, Daniel. Your words carry weight now. What is playful on earth can be sacred here. Daniel nodded, still uneasy. I'll try, princess, I really will. But don't expect me to master alien etiquette overnight. I'm better with engines than, politics. She laughed softly. That may be true, but your honesty and courage matter more. Tradition can be learned. Courage cannot. Later that evening, the princess took Daniel to a private chamber filled with books, holographic displays, and historical artifacts. You must understand our culture fully, she said. The bond is not only emotional, it carries strategic importance. The court, the nobles, and even our enemies respect those who are bonded to the royal line. They cannot attack you openly without risk. Daniel blinked. So, my joke might actually protect me? Perhaps, she said. But only if you learn and act wisely. Otherwise, your life will remain at risk. Daniel sat down heavily. I feel like I just got promoted to galactic royalty by accident. She smiled, her violet eyes warm. In a way, yes. You have been chosen by circumstances, by courage, and by your honesty. That is why I accepted. The bond is more than words. It is action, trust, and respect. To have to step up, huh? The palace was tense. Rumors had spread faster than fire. Daniel, the human, was now tied to the princess. Many nobles still whispered that he was an outsider, unworthy of even standing in her presence. Others, impressed by his role in the last battle, began to wonder if he might bring change to their empire. Daniel, however, felt the weight of it all. He had survived one battle, but the galaxy was full of enemies. Reports came in that a second, much larger fleet was approaching the planet, intending to take advantage of the empire's temporary weakness. The princess found him in the palace, gardens walking among crystal flowers that chimed in the breeze. Daniel, she said, her voice soft but firm. You must prepare. The enemy fleet grows stronger every day. We cannot fight them alone. But you, your mind, your courage, you may give us the advantage we need. Daniel swallowed hard. I don't know if I can. I'm just a mechanic from Earth. I barely know your ships, let alone battle strategy. She placed her hand on his arm. You are different, Daniel. You think differently than anyone here. That is why I trust you. Courage alone will not win battles, but clever thinking and action can. Daniel nodded, determination slowly replacing fear. Okay, I'll do my best. I don't want to let you down. The command center was vast, filled with holographic displays and alien officers shouting orders. Daniel moved among them, studying maps of the incoming fleet. He suggested a few unconventional tactics, splitting their forces into smaller, faster units, using decoy ships to confuse the enemy, and relying on rapid maneuvers instead of conventional attacks. The alien generals were skeptical. "This human does not understand our technology or strategy," one muttered to another. The princess stepped forward, her voice carrying authority. "He will assist us. His ideas may be different, but I trust him." Reluctantly, the generals allowed Daniel to coordinate a small fleet for the upcoming battle. He worked tirelessly, modifying ship systems, creating backup plans, and even teaching the pilots some Earth-style improvisation. Hours later, the enemy fleet appeared. Dark ships moved like shadows against the stars, their weapons charged and ready. Panic stirred in some of the younger pilots. They had not faced such numbers before. Daniel stepped onto the bridge of the lead ship, his hands steady on the controls. "Listen to me," he said clearly. "We're going to use their expectations against them. They think we fight by tradition. We won't. Trust me, follow my instructions, and we survive. Even more, we win." The princess stood beside him, her eyes glowing softly. "I trust you, Daniel. Lead them." Daniel took a deep breath. "All right, here we go." The battle began with energy beams streaking across the darkness. Alien ships fired, shields flared, and explosions lit the void. Daniel directed small fleets into unexpected positions, creating traps that the enemy did not anticipate. A squadron of decoy ships drew enemy fire, while faster units struck their supply lines. Daniel coordinated timing with precise orders, using maneuvers that were simple for him but unusual for the aliens. Slowly, the tide began to turn. The enemy was caught off guard. Ships that should have been destroyed survived, and several enemy vessels were forced to retreat. Daniel's quick thinking and unconventional tactics had given the Empire the upper hand. The princess watched from the command center. Her cheeks glowed faintly as she whispered, "Yes, my chosen is brave indeed." Daniel glanced at her, blushing. "Brave? I'm just alive right now," he thought. But inside, a small spark of pride grew. Back in the palace, the nobles observed the battle with astonishment. Some could not believe that a human, someone from a small, distant planet, was turning the fight in their favor. Even those who had doubted him quietly began to reconsider. The emperor, however, remained cautious. He had not yet openly acknowledged Daniel's value, but he could not ignore the results. Reports came in. Enemy forces were retreating, their fleet broken and confused. The Empire had won the day. Daniel returned to the palace, exhausted but exhilarated. The princess met him in the gardens once more. "You have done more than I imagined, Daniel," she said softly. "You have saved countless lives today." Daniel shook his head, still trying to process it all. I just followed my instincts." "I'm still surprised it worked," she smiled, her violet eyes warm. "You are more than instinct. You are clever, bold, and brave. That is why I answered your words." Daniel's heart raced. "I never expected a joke to change so much." The princess reached out, brushing his hand gently. "And yet it did. Your courage, honesty, and even humor have proven their value. Remember this. True strength is not only in battle but in who you are and how you act." The court gathered later that evening. The emperor stood observing Daniel carefully. The nobles whispered among themselves, still divided but increasingly respectful. "You have proven yourself human," the emperor said finally. "Through courage, skill, and quick thinking, you have defended my empire. You are now recognized as a protector of the royal line. But remember, trust is fragile. Continue to prove yourself, or danger will find you." Daniel bowed, his heart pounding. "Yes, Your Majesty. I will do my best." The princess stepped forward, her hand resting lightly on Daniel's arm. I stand with him, she said firmly. He has earned this. The court fell silent. Some nobles grumbled, but none dared oppose her in that moment. That night, Daniel sat in his chamber staring out at the twin moons. The battle had been won, but he knew it was only the beginning. Enemies remained, the court still questioned him, and the galaxy itself was watching. Yet he felt a strange confidence. A simple joke, a whispered word had placed him here, and now, with courage and cleverness, he had proven himself. The princess's words echoed in his mind. True strength is in who you are and how you act. Daniel smiled faintly. Then I guess it's time to act like I belong here. The stars above the palace twinkled silently, and Daniel knew that the next challenge was only a heartbeat away. The morning sky over the alien capital glowed with twin suns, painting the city in gold and violet. Daniel stood on the palace balcony beside the princess, staring out at the horizon. The second enemy fleet, larger than the first, was approaching fast. This time there would be no retreat. He swallowed hard. Princess, this is huge. We might not survive if we just follow normal tactics. She placed a hand on his arm, her touch steadying him. We will survive, Daniel, not by tradition but by courage and cleverness. By thinking differently. That is why I chose you. Daniel took a deep breath. Thinking differently? Right. I'm human. That's what we do best. The palace command center was buzzing with activity. Holographic displays showed hundreds of enemy ships advancing in formation. Generals argued over tactics, their traditional plans ignoring Daniel's suggestions. Daniel stepped forward. Listen, their formation is rigid. They expect us to follow standard battle strategy. We won't. We will divide our forces into 3 small units, use decoys, and strike from unexpected angles. Earth-style improvisation can work if we act fast and together. A few generals frowned. This is unorthodox. It may fail. The princess's violet eyes met theirs. It will not fail. This human's ideas saved us before. Trust him. I do. Reluctantly, the fleet prepared Daniel's strategy. Pilots, engineers, and soldiers watched him nervously as he explained the plan. Every command had to be precise, every movement coordinated. Daniel felt the weight of it on his shoulders. He wasn't a soldier, yet hundreds of lives depended on his ideas. He clenched his fists. I can't mess this up. I just can't. The battle began at dawn. The enemy fleet moved like shadows across the stars, firing energy beams that lit the void. Daniel's fleet moved differently than expected, splitting into smaller units and using decoy ships to draw the enemy's fire. His strategy worked. The enemy fleet was confused, their attacks misaligned. Faster, smaller ships struck at weak points. Daniel coordinated movements using both alien and Earth logic, combining the best of both worlds. The princess watched from the command center, her violet eyes shining with pride. Yes, my chosen is clever, she whispered. Daniel caught her glance and blushed. Clever? I'm barely keeping up with myself, he thought. But deep inside, a spark of pride warmed him. The enemy commander, frustrated by the unexpected tactics, ordered a direct assault. Massive ships advanced toward the palace city, their weapons charged. Panic threatened to spread among the defenders. Daniel stayed calm. Do not panic. Split into smaller groups, hit their flanks, and aim for their supply ships. We can outmaneuver them. Pilots followed his orders. Energy beams streaked across space, shields flared, and explosions erupted. Slowly but surely, Daniel's plan turned the tide. The enemy was caught off guard, their rigid formation crumbling under the unusual tactics. From the palace balcony, the princess whispered again, Yes, baby. You are brave indeed. Daniel's heart skipped. He couldn't believe she was still calling him that, even now in the midst of battle. He smiled faintly. Brave, huh? I guess I am. In my own way. Hours passed. The enemy fleet retreated, their ships scattered and damaged. The palace city remained safe thanks to Daniel's quick thinking and improvisation. The court erupted in whispers, some in awe, others in disbelief. Even the emperor could not ignore the human who had saved the empire. Later, in the grand hall, the emperor addressed Daniel. His golden eyes studied the human closely. "You have proven yourself, human. You have saved not only